The key that unlocked Papa's faith. My name is Ajiko. This is the story of how my father Omedo was finally broken and became a believer. The air in our little mud-thatched house was thick with the smell of wood smoke and the quiet terror that only an unpredictable father can inspire. Akombe, bring it, the key you were entrusted with. That roar still echoes in my heart whenever I think of that night. I was barely 6 years old. I huddled behind Mama's cot, my eyes wide with fear, staring up at Papa's silhouette. Papa wasn't drunk, but he was loud, a dangerous kind of giddy. He stood by the doorway, his silhouette framed by the weak moonlight, his hand outstretched, palm up, demanding. He knew it was gone. He was sure of it. He was ready to watch her world crumble, to prove her new foreign god, Jesus, was nothing more than a myth. My mother's hand went automatically to the basket storage in and brought out the key. Her face, as usual, was lit with the joy of her new Christian faith. Mama Akombe and her hut was among the first patch of fertile grounds the Muzungus, white missionaries, tilled in our village. Their arrival wasn't like the thunder of a drought, but the gentle, steady breeze of a blessing. They built more than just structures. They built a lifeline. There was the clean, quiet dispensary where a sick child might actually get better, and the little chapel that promised a kind of peace Akombe had never known. But it was the school that truly caught her attention, a place where every child, no matter their parents' wealth, could sit and learn for free. The missionaries were polite, unnervingly kind, and their message was revolutionary. They didn't just preach about God's love, Jesus, and salvation. They taught about living. Akombe listened intently to the teachings about harmony. They spoke words that turned the world upside down. Men were taught to stop raising their fists and mistreating their wives. Women were taught that respect was a two-way path, blooming best when love led the way. For Akombe, this foreign faith was more than just a hymn. It was hope, a promise of escaping the grim cycles she knew too well. Before, her life had been a landscape of petty market squabbles over the best spot to sell maize, domestic duties, and taboos and tradition that disadvantaged women. She hated their joggers, the witch doctors who proclaimed to have divine solutions for health, wealth, and life, and yet constantly stirred conflicts among the kinsmen. But with this new faith, all that bitterness began to recede. A quiet, steady purpose settled in her spirit, replacing the old anger. Akombe found herself standing taller, her spirit filled with a gentle cheerfulness that was entirely new to the village. She saw finally a path toward a better, more harmonious future for her people. She'd come home every evening, eyes shining like the reflection of the moon on Lake Victoria. Omedo, my husband, listen. The preacher spoke of the king who was born in a manger. He heals the sick. He forgives all sins. Papa, a fisherman, whose hands were as tough as the crocodile hide he used for his drum, would just grunt, staring into the cooking fire. He was a Luo, a River Lake Nilot, a proud descendant of Ramogi Ajwang. Silence, woman. Enough of this foreign foolishness, he'd snap. I need no pale-faced man's magic. Don't we have our gods, culture, land, and people? I refuse to believe in a magically conceived king who dies like a thief. The concept of the Holy Communion, eating the body and the blood of the Savior, sent a shudder down his spine. Cannibalism, it hissed. And a virgin birth? This is the work of a joga, a sorcerer, not a true god. Yet her persistence chipped away at his stone heart, not through conversion, but through annoyance. Please, Omedo, come to church. Trust God, just once. He had finally had enough of the gentle pleading. He needed to crush her faith, to expose the weakness of her new reliance on prayers and miracles, which he saw as excuses for laziness. He would set a trap, a meticulous plan that will prove once and for all that Akombe's God was powerless. One scorching afternoon, Papa called Mama to him. "Akombe," he said, his voice unusually soft, almost tender. "Take this. This key opens the metal safe in my heart, my savings and my treasures. It is the only copy. Please do not lose it. Guard it with your life." Mama, a trustworthy woman, took the weighty brass key. "I will keep it safe, Omedo." She tucked it in a neatly crafted basket in a carved spot in the wall, the safest spot she knew, and kept all her treasures. Papa had been watching, hidden behind the hut door. As soon as she left for the market, he crept back, retrieved the key, and slipped it into the front pocket of his working shorts. A dark, triumphant smile touched his lips. "Next week I will ask for it," he thought. "When she fails to produce it, she will see that her faith is a lie. Her God could not even guard a simple key." He walked down to the lake, his step light. He spent the day hauling in the nets with his mates. But the lake, the very waters that sustained our people, had other plans. As he leaned over the boat to pull in a heavy catch, he felt a sudden lightness in his pocket. He looked down just in time to see the glint of brass. Plop! The key vanished into the deep, dark water. Papa cursed under his breath, his triumphant smile melting into a note of cold fear. He was ruined, all his savings locked away forever. But then, a cruel thought brought the triumph back. Good. Now my revenge is absolute. Akombe will still take the blame. 1 week passed. Mama went to the market, a small purse of coins clutched in her hand, to buy fish for supper. The aroma of mbuta, Nile perch, was strong and inviting. Back in the quiet kitchen, she took the large fish and began to scale and clean it. I sat nearby, playing with a small clay cow, glancing up at my mother as she slit the belly open with a sharp knife, scraping out the entrails. And then she froze. From the mess of gills and intestines, a glint of brass fell onto the mud floor. As a child, my curiosity always outweighed my fear. I crawled closer. "Mama, what is this shining key?" I whispered, pointing. It was a key. It was heavy, unique, and terrifyingly familiar. Where did I see this pattern? Mama Akombe rushed to the basket. She lifted the lid, her heart pounding against her ribs. The key she had tucked away was gone. Panic seized her. She felt like running, like screaming for the missionaries. Then a quiet strength settled over her. She picked up the key that had been inside the fish and placed it carefully, silently, inside a small basket. "I don't know how the key moved," she whispered to herself, "but I know the one who knows." That night, Papa came home loud and proud, ready for confrontation. "Akombe, come here," he bellowed. "Bring me the key I gave you 1 week ago. I must access my safe." Mama walked slowly into the light of the paraffin lamp. Her face was serene, almost pitying. She reached into the basket and pulled out the key. She held it out on her palm. It was gleaming and shiny. Papa stopped dead. The triumph vanished, replaced by an expression of pure raw terror. He backed away, shielding his face. "Witchcraft," he hissed, the word a poison on his tongue. "Are you a witch, Akombe? Where did you conjure this key? I saw you put it in the basket. I know it was gone." Mama's eyes, full of gentle light, met his fear. "You gave this key to me, Omedo. And you are right. It was gone from the basket. But last night, as I prepared the mbuta for our supper, the key came out of the fish's stomach." She stepped closer, the key shining between them. A barrier, a bridge. "I don't know how it got from the river to the fish's belly, or how it returned to me, Omedo. But I know the God who spoke to the waves and the fish is a God who watches over his people." Papa's knees buckled, his shoulders slumped. He collapsed onto the stool, the fear draining away, leaving only shattered pride. He confessed everything, the theft, the plunge into the lake, and the plan to punish her. "I tried to prove your God did not exist," he whispered, his voice broken. "But the lake swallowed my key, and the fish brought it back. What are the chances that out of all the fishes in the market, you picked the one which swallowed the key? This is not like a combe. This is power. He reached out, his hand trembling, and gently touched the brass key lying in her palm. He then looked at me, who still held Mama's hands. I have indeed found the key, he said, his voice ringing with a new profound conviction. The key that has unlocked my faith. I will accompany you to church, Akombe. Show me your Jesus. And that, my friends, is how a single brass key and a humble mbuta from Lake Victoria broke the stone heart of Omedo, the proud Luo fisherman. It was the day our family found faith in Jesus and have not looked back. Did you enjoy this story? Please watch out for the next story coming soon.